because my video hasn't started. My bad.
Gang.
Okay.
I just left the gym. Lord have mercy.
Not this apple.
This is all I had in my office. All I had.
I'm so proud of me. I'm on time.
I'm on time too. Can I be seen?
Oh, Frankie right there. My bad.
Hold on, let me get it right.
Morty, get right, Morty.
I feel like my camera look ghetto.
Huh?
I feel like my camera look ghetto.
I just knew y'all were gonna be on CP time. I just knew it.
No, we're on time.
You know, I was. Let me give it a few minutes.
What's up, Alexis?
Hey, how y'all doing on this fine? What's today? Tuesday. It's only Tuesday.
On a Tuesday, I'm tired. I just left the gym. That's why I got this struggle ponytail in my head.
Struggle ponytail.
Yeah, it is Tuesday.
It could have been Wednesday.
Lord.
It's technically Wednesday. It is. It's the night is, the night is young. Anywho, guys, well, welcome to my YouTube.
Oh, we're on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk HBCU talk for this episode, and I just wanted to get y'all's opinions. Of course, some advice to people that may want to attend HBCUs, y'all's opinions on people's views of HBCUs, because we know it's a hot topic. We get the trends, the PWI versus HBCU every 3 months on social media. So I just wanted to talk about that experience or wild experiences, because I know just all of us, I think people look at Black people as a monolith sometimes. And we all went to the same school and we all have very diverse experiences, I'm sure. Similarities, but diverse experiences. So that's really why I wanted to do this talk. So introducing y'all, Alexis, 89th, Miss Tuskegee University. When did you graduate, Lex?
2020, child.
Oh, you're getting old. 40. Brimmer baby.
Yeah, I'm Brimmer baby. For sure.
For you graduated. Did you graduate 2016?
I graduated 2015. It was supposed to be 2014.
Oh, did you get out of there? It don't matter. Taurus, animal science major. You had Steel Kings. We gotta talk about that, because when I was thinking about, I was like, what Yeah, that was like Taurus, let it go, Steel Kings. Animal science major and graduated in 2016 as well. So those are the people we have on our panel. So first, I just want to ask y'all, in no particular order, why did y'all choose Tuskegee? Because both of y'all from Alabama, aren't y'all?
Yeah, I'm from Alabama.
I'm from Tennessee. Taurus is from California. So Taurus, you first. Like, how did you?
All right, so it's an interesting story. So I ended up at Tuskegee. I applied to Tuskegee because I always wanted to be a vet. But I applied to Tuskegee because around 12th grade, I changed my idea of wanting to be a marine biologist. And Tuskegee had both of those on a brochure. So I went to a Black College Expo with two of my friends in high school. One of their grandmothers took us, and I applied to 4 HBCUs for free. And Tuskegee was one of them. And Tuskegee was the first to accept me. So it's kind of like, I know people say this and it's kind of cliche, but people say like Tuskegee chose them, they didn't choose Tuskegee. Mm-hmm. And Tuskegee really chose me. Tuskegee was the first HBCU to accept me, because I had got accepted by California University, but Tuskegee accepted me. My grandmother had just passed a couple of days before I got accepted. So it was just kind of like, I don't want to take the SATs again. I'm already stressed about what's going on. So I'm gonna just go to Tuskegee. It's out of the state. My mom didn't want me to go to school in California because she didn't want me coming home every weekend. So she was just like, go. So I said, I'm gonna just go. And I ended up at Tuskegee. I was like, either I'll do animal science or marine biology. And that's how it happened.
So it's no HBCUs on the West Coast. So
no,
they have expos.
technically, there's no HBCUs on the West Coast. They have a school called King Drew, which kind of acts as a HBCU, but it's not an HBCU. But no, so all of the HBCUs are starting the South, and we know this because of history.
Yeah,
we know our history. So mostly all of them are in the South, going up towards the East Coast, and then going a little more towards like Midwest and then Southwest. But like most California kids end up at HBCUs on the South because we have the experience of going to school with either all Caucasians or all Hispanics or Asians. So we kind of want that Black experience.
Yeah.
So Tuskegee was definitely a culture shock.
I've always been interested in that though, because it's like I think outside of Alabama, the second biggest population of Tuskegee was Atlanta and then California. And then it always switched back and forth. And I think it's because we recruit so heavily, because people in the South already know about Black colleges, but like the West Coast people, they don't. So they spend a lot of money doing expos to recruit you all to come down South. So that's interesting. I've always been like with California people, I'm like, how did you find? I barely knew about Tuskegee and I was in Tennessee. Alexis, what about you?
So for me, my parents went to Tuskegee. Like my mom went, my biological dad went as well. But I never like wanted to go to Tuskegee. That was never a thought in my mind. Like, oh, I want to go to Tuskegee. My parents went there. Like, no, I'm from the country, so I was like, I'm not trying to go from the country and go to school in the country. Like, give me a city. Like, give me something with more than just a McDonald's. Like, I need something with, like, I need food options. Like, I need nice buildings. I need, because like when I toured Tuskegee or when I had gone there before with my mom, I was like, well, it's kind of old here. Like, I don't know about this. So even my, the summer going into my senior year of high school, me and my friends did a tour at Tuskegee and it was really cool. I liked it. I was like, okay, maybe I want to go to Tuskegee, this and that. Then I had one of my family members, one of my mom's cousins, she was like, I went to Auburn and I just feel like your degree is going to be, it's going to be worth more if you go to Auburn than if you go to Tuskegee. I will never forget her saying that.
Wow.
And me being young, then I was like, you know what, maybe you're right. Like, maybe I don't need to go to Tuskegee. My mom was hot, but I was like, maybe like, I don't know, maybe I need to, go to Auburn or something. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to Tuskegee. I'm going to go to Auburn. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Auburn, It's not as country, it's a little, and Auburn is actually country, but it's in my mind, I was like, it's not that country. So I got my acceptance from Auburn and they only offered me $5,000 a year. Like, oh, okay. So I was like, let me still apply to Tuskegee, I applied to Tuskegee, they gave me full ride, full tuition and books. I said, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to, go to Tuskegee.
Where the money is.
Really, like, that wasn't really the kicker. What the kicker was for me was when Raven took me to homecoming, her senior year. My senior year in high school, her senior year at Tuskegee, she brought me down there for homecoming. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going here. I was like, I'm going here for sure. So homecoming my senior year of high school, when I came to Tuskegee, that really did it for me. And also, that year of my senior year in high school was the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. So that's when a lot of people came to Selma that year for that event. And I met Tequilas at that event. And I had a Tuskegee sweatshirt on because I had just got it from, open house was the next week, but I had just got it from somebody. And she had her sweatshirt on. I was like, oh my gosh, nice to meet you. She was like, yeah, I'm Tequilas. I miss Tuskegee, So I just felt like all of these things were just kind of like
aligning for you to go.
Aligning for me. So I was like, and she was super nice. And the girls that she was with were super nice. I just felt like, Tuskegee chose me too. Because in the beginning, I didn't think that that's where I wanted to go. But I truly do believe that, Tuskegee did choose me.
Okay. Forty, I'm actually very interested to know how.
Well, my mama was a Tuskegee alum too. So I ain't gonna hold you. Like, we used to go to homecoming all the time. So it took me one time to see people passing chicken and stuff around and like the band going crazy and stuff. It was over for me, right? Originally. So like I said, I've been going to Tuskegee homecoming since, I'm young enough to remember. So it was just already decided.
I know your mom graduated from Tuskegee.
Yeah, she graduated in 88.
Wow.
87 or 88. So your mom always so I always went.
When your mama graduated.
Yeah. And what's crazy is they didn't even, like, I applied to a couple other schools. So I applied to JSU, Jacksonville State. I applied to University of Alabama. I applied to A&M. I applied to Alabama State. I don't even know why I did. They about to do it. And then I applied to Tuskegee. And Tuskegee low-key gave me the least money, but I was going there regardless.
Yeah.
I was going.
You already knew.
Yeah, I already knew I was going.
I only ended up at Tuskegee because I wanted to go to Spelman since I was in 7th or 8th grade. That was my dream school. I applied for early application and I applied for, I think, Spelman. I was never going to, I always knew I was leaving the state. I'm from one of them towns where I was just like, I'm leaving home. I don't care where I go. I'm not even applying to any in-state schools, but I applied to TSU, you know, just off the strength of just in case I don't get into anywhere else. And my uncle, I already knew. My uncle told me straight up, like my junior year, he was like, I'm not paying for school if you don't go to HBCU. And so I always wanted to go. My family all went to HBCUs, but he was just like, I'm not paying for school. And so I was like, well, that's not a problem anyways. I was always applying. I got waitlisted for Spelman. I cried. It broke my heart. I was like, what? And my auntie was like, honey, they gotta let Bill Cosby and them kids in first. And I was like, well, I guess, like, you know, whatever. And so got into Tuskegee, got into TSU, and I got into one other school. So I went to spring open house. Y'all, I had never, when we came on campus, you know, like, so you got the laser, well, at the time it was laser leaders. They were all outside yelling. I didn't know, like, I don't even know how I applied to Tuskegee. I guess I was like Googling HBCUs, applied. I got on that campus and between the laser leaders and sitting in the chapel, I had never heard TU, you know. And my mama, and so they were doing all the chants, and my mom was like, you don't know nothing. And I was like, no, I didn't know. I was like, how do these kids know all the chants? And I fell in love. I was like, this is the school for me. Met Rayleigh on the elevator. We were staying at the Kellogg. She drove me around that night. She drove me around like that first night I was there, and like she showed me the soul. I mean, to me, the soul was spectacular. You know, when you're 18, seeing a club, and I was like, oh, and literally decided to go to Tuskegee after spring open house. And 2 weeks before I moved into Tuskegee, I got into Spelman.
Oh,
dang.
I was like, my mom was like, she was like, I know you had your mom made up, but you know, like, and I was like, I'm going to Tuskegee. Did you see this? See the people at the school? It was lit. So I think for me, dang, I guess it is cliche, but I'm like, I think it's one of those.
Tuskegee chose you.
I had no idea, like, I had no idea what I was walking into, but the minute I got on campus, I was like, this is the school for me. So let me ask you this, like, what was like one of your favorite things about going to a HBCU?
Ooh. Fried chicken.
It's so much.
Fried chicken, baby.
I mean, not to be cliche, right? But I mean, I don't know, man. It just felt so natural, like being there. Like I don't feel like I had to, like, you know, like maybe when you're a freshman in high school, you're like, damn, I gotta fit in. I don't know, man. I just like, as soon as you got there, it's just like you fit in. It's like you just, I mean, it's a transition, right? From going from being in the house with your parents to being by yourself. But I don't know, like it was just a smooth transition. I would say, like if I had to sum it up, like that was the smoothest thing for me. It's just like, I don't know, man. I just fit in.
Yeah.
I don't have to try to fit in. I just fit in. As soon as I got there.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. When I got dropped off freshman week, I was standing there on the because I stayed in Young Hall my freshman year, and I was standing on the basketball court, like, how am I in Alabama? Like, cause I was born and raised in California, and my family's from Louisiana, so I spent summers in Louisiana. I lived in Louisiana for a couple of years as I was younger, but the bulk of my childhood was California. So I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm dodging like these bugs I ain't never seen before. I'm like, it's hot. Like I don't know where I'm at. Like, so, but I think my favorite thing was just being in an area where there were so many people that looked like me that wanted the same thing that I wanted. Coming from Oakland, nobody's like, we know what the hood looks like. But being in an area where you see people that look like you, that's striving for the same thing as you, was just so beautiful to me. Homecoming, seeing like the alumni come back, seeing how successful they are. I remember every year I would walk past the Kellogg that first Friday of homecoming. It was like this Aston Martin sitting right there.
Aston Martin.
Oh my gosh. I was just about to say, my first homecoming, I will never forget that. Walking by the Kellogg and seeing Range Rovers, and my roommate at the time was like, damn, these people went to college. I was like, these are no drug dealers. Like, this is crazy.
So like this being in that realm was beautiful. Like the first week, the Greek weeks, the homecoming game, seeing homecoming, just seeing all this Black excellence, talking to alumni. I was in the choir, so like the alumni would come to the choir rehearsal on Friday, and just talking to those alumni and seeing where they were and hearing their stories was just like so beautiful to me. Just because you don't get that, in California, you don't get that. So
yeah.
I think for me, my favorite part about Tuskegee was honestly like, I guess the typical HBCU culture, kind of what we've all talked about, like the band, just being around our people.
Yeah.
Like that, like Frankie said, that made me feel comfortable. I felt like I did not have to code switch.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't have to change, who I was in class or around my peers. Like I could, genuinely be myself.
Be you.
But I do think, like just what gravitates most people to HBCUs was my favorite part. Just like the whole like HBCU culture, the bands, the Greek life, fried chicken Wednesdays, like how we dressed, just different things, even down to class size, like how intimate our classes were, just things like that. I felt like I wasn't just a number, like I was a person at Tuskegee.
Yeah.
It's like our culture is on display. Like our culture is on display. Our culture is magnified. And it's just, I don't know, man, it's just a beautiful thing to see it like in that light, right? Because we all like, Alexis, you like grew up in a country town, like me too. I grew up in Talladega. So, we used to being around Black people, but it's just different to see your culture magnified in that type of way.
Yeah. It's like it's stuff that you used to like. I love A Different Road is one of my favorite shows. And it's like you read about this stuff online, or like you hear about like band culture and stuff like that. And this, when you go and experience it, you'd be like, this is real life. This is real life.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time.
I'm gonna say this the first time, like I got accepted to Tuskegee. The first time I heard Ball and Parlay on YouTube, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to campus. I cannot wait to get to campus. Like I was like, I was ready just to hear Ball and Parlay.
Everybody try to copy it. It's just no other. But I will say, speaking about our culture as Black people, I would never forget when Beyonce did Coachella. And I know that people love Black culture. I honestly thought even Black people all understood the culture of HBCUs, but I just remember that first night on Twitter. I don't know if y'all remember that, but the first night on Twitter, it was even Black people just kind of like, it's really like this? Like, I was like, if you didn't grow up in the South, maybe these people from California, I don't know. But when she did it, just the Greek references, like the HBCU dance, like the stance she was throwing, we used to that. Like we have Major as Kuiper as you have it. Like, the dance culture, the band culture. And to see it on display on a stage like that, I didn't realize how important it was until she did it. Because it was so many, of course, white people too, but Black people and white people were just like, is that really like what? Somebody from my hometown was like, is that really? And I was like, yeah. And I felt like everybody knew that, but they don't. They don't think Greek stuff like that happens. They don't think the band is really like, they just didn't know. And so I think for us having to experience that, I think a shift in the way people look at HBCU culture really changed when Beyonce went to Coachella and she gave them just even like this small taste of like what it is that we go through, the good parts at least about what we go through at a Black college. So I was always so grateful for that too.
Yeah, because like we think like just in our, I guess our small world that everybody knows like
Everybody knows.
about our experience. But even
Mhm.
going back when I went back to my high school, and I was talking to them about HBCUs, like they being from Greenville, those kids, like parents barely even graduated high school. Like a lot of people there don't even know about college, let alone HBCU
Mhm.
culture. So it's just we think,
Mhm.
we're so used to that that,
Mhm.
how could you guys not know that
How could you not? But they don't.
about what we have going
And
on? But
this
it's a lot of people really don't.
Because think
and
about it,
this
it's not like a lot of rappers. Because even when we was growing up, even before we went to school, we saw movies like Drumline and stuff like that. So we had a small depiction of what HBCU may be like. But you're not seeing that many movies like that now. Like you're not seeing, a lot of stuff like that now. That even gives people a glimpse of what it is. So if you're not familiar with it or know somebody who went, you really don't know.
Exactly.
You really don't know. And then
and
yeah, go
that's so
ahead.
true. Like my older sister, she went to Xavier for undergrad,
Mhm.
and Xavier is a Catholic HBCU, so they don't have the band and football team and stuff like that. But she she did pledge and stuff like that. So I got the little bit of HBCU experience just kind of being in her presence and being around her. But being from California, I can honestly tell you we don't know about any of that stuff. Our teachers don't come from HBCUs. And it's funny because I went to college prep schools in middle school and high school, and Tuskegee was like there. Like we had cohorts in middle school, and one of the cohorts was Tuskegee. I didn't think nothing of it. Our classrooms in high school were named after colleges. One of them, I had many classes in Tuskegee. Never thought about it. So, and I didn't know anything about Tuskegee until Red Tails came out the year I applied to Tuskegee. And people were like, I told people, oh, I'm going to Tuskegee, don't know anything about it. They're like, oh, like the movie Red Tails. I'm like, okay, sure. Like I knew nothing about Tuskegee. I knew nothing about really HBCUs. I just knew like, I applied to this school. I went to a Black College Expo. Like, I know my sister went to one. I had cousins that kind of went, that was going to Southern at the time. So like, let me kind of see. I had a cousin that was at Hampton at the time. But like going to Tuskegee just kind of like changes your life, being from a place where you don't hear about that. Like it's just a difference. And I had a cousin that came under me. I had to force her to go to her HBC. She went to Langston. Like I had to force her to go. Like go. She came to Tuskegee. She was a senior in high school, and she was in a program that took them on a Black college tour, and Tuskegee was one of them. So, and she came during like I think it was Zeta Week or something like that. So she kind of got to see like a little bit of something while she was there. Like it was fried chicken Wednesday, or it was fried fish Friday. And she got to see that. She got to see like a sorority doing different things. It's just like stuff that we're not exposed to on the West Coast.
So, Taurus, you never saw like a band and dancers until college.
Like Frankie said, like on Drumline, and I grew up in like Baton Rouge, so we had the Bayou Classics in Louisiana.
Okay, so
Southern was right down the street, but
in person.
kind of. But I was a kid, so I'm like, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm like thinking, I'm still playing with toys and playing outside in trees. So I wasn't thinking about college. So by the time I got to high school, that kind of had went away out of my brain. So I'm just kind of like, okay, But I get to Tuskegee and see the battle of the bands at the first game during halftime, and it's Greek week or Welcome Back week, and all of the Greeks are strolling and stuff like that. I'm just like, this is a whole different world than what I'm used to. Like we went to college tours in California. They took us to college tours, but it's like UC Berkeley and UC Santa Cruz, and you don't see that stuff there. So
yeah. So let me ask you this, because I have a long list, but I have a long list. But just being transparent, what are like opportunity areas you feel like HBCUs as a whole, not just Tuskegee, but HBCUs as a whole, what are like some of the biggest opportunity areas y'all think? Because we all know funding, but what else?
Opportunity areas, like what you mean by that?
Like what's something we need, like as HBCUs as a whole, like what is something you feel like we lack? Like what's something, or I guess like negative experiences, or what do you feel like we lack that like maybe a PWI doesn't have?
Professionalism.
You said professionalism?
So I'm gonna say this, do. And I hate to say it, but a student shouldn't have to call the bursars or financial aid office 50 times the week before class to get an answer about what's going on with their tuition or what's going on with room and board. Like I remember my freshman year, I didn't have a room assignment until I got to Tuskegee. Like it's like that's a thing that shouldn't be an issue. Where I had friends who went to like PWIs that they didn't struggle with that. Like they was, oh, well, I got my room assignment and I was able to, get in contact. But it took the act of Congress to get in contact with bursars. I'm like, I'm not financially cleared. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. It does. And let me tell you the part I don't like about that. It's the bursar office at the HBCU is universal. And I hate that because I feel like we're trying to pass that off as culture and it's just unprofessional. It's not, we're trying to pass it off like, oh, that's just what happened at the HBCU. But it's like, no, not being prepared. Like when somebody is spending, people have student debts. People spend their life in student debt. We paying $30,000 a year to come here. The least I need is my room assignment for you to answer the phone. I know that you're busy. I know that it's move-in time, but I feel like a lot of the communication piece can be eliminated. Housing.
Hello.
That's frustrating. I think at historically Black colleges, though underfunded, a lot of them, I even think the ones so we all saw the Howard situation this year. Wait, let me ask y'all this. What did y'all think about the Howard situation first? If y'all familiar with it.
I think that it's just kind of something that's going on at a lot of HBCUs that is just, the blanket was lifted off, right? Like you see it and and I ain't gonna say it's good that it happened to Howard, but the fact that it's shown on Howard, because Howard is seen as, this super prestigious HBCU, it's like we all experiencing the same issue. Because all HBCUs are experiencing the same issue. The issue is we private institutions, right? So we're not heavily funded by the state. Yeah. We was heavily funded by the state and they're able to control our curriculum and stuff like that. We're not heavily funded by the state. Our alumni don't give back a lot, but because our alumni also in debt, right? Like a lot of our alumni in debt. So, I mean, as much as you want to give back, you can't afford it back, but you can't give it back through your student loans.
Want to, because of, we don't know where's this money going.
Right.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
People that want to donate, a lot of prestigious people want to donate to Tuskegee, but it's like I think the transparency of like where the money is going to the right places, just how they allocate funds is that needs to be fixed across the board, because we've been something totally different than we are now. So many people have wanted to donate, so many rich, wealthy alumni want to donate, but it's like, where's my money going?
Right.
And to be fair, like we have like the PWIs, they have these rich people that are donating, sending money to their college, the alumni sending money. But Felicia Rashad can't give all her money to Howard. Taraji P. Henson can't give all her money to Howard. Erica Badu can't give all her money to family. Like you got to be, Grambling, you have to be like, the money isn't there, the support isn't there like Auburn has or Princeton has. Like they have these people that's throwing money at them. We don't really have that if we're being fair. Like, the alumni, we could say the alumni aren't donating, but to Frankie's point, we're in debt.
And the PWIs get the opportunity to use that money to create more efficient systems. So they get to pay the people who work in the bursar office. So those people not underpaid and feel like they don't feel like doing nothing. Yeah. They get to invest in this technology that make things more efficient and more effective for their students. So, it kind of gives them, quote unquote, a better experience. But for me, it's like the same thing that kind of makes us weak makes us strong. Because think about it, like the fact that you gotta call the bursar office a million times, it teaches you how to handle your business, because ain't nobody gonna handle it for you unless you stay on top of your stuff. Like you just can't expect to, in a perfect world, right? You'll just be able to, in a perfect world, you won't have to follow up on nothing you do. You just do it one time and it's done. But no, you have to stay on top of your stuff and see it through to make sure that it gets done. So that's what I took from all of it. Like, yeah, you're gonna get the runaround, but it teaches you real life lessons. Like that whole process of trying to get financially cleared. If you can do that, you can do anything.
It's a hassle. I have never been in more of a hassle trying to pay somebody their money. Like you, please. You know what, Cordy? It's crazy that you say that, because I never look at it like that. And it's because when you kind of looking at somebody else's experience, like right now, I work. We have a contract with a predominantly white institution. And so when I just look at how smooth these kids move in process is the resources that they have, like, it's just, I want that so badly for us, because I don't want us to always feel like we have to struggle. Like, why do we have to struggle to get everything that we have. And I think that part frustrates me so much. I never thought about the lessons that it was teaching, even though it does teach lessons. And so I think a thing for me, one of my issues is that it's resources, like for HBCUs. All of this comes under the umbrella of funding, because it wasn't until I started in corporate, I would never forget. I was like, how do you find jobs at an HBCU? You find jobs through like recruitment. And so I'm like, we have this career fair. That's a big deal. I love that. Well, when you get in corporate, when you get into the real world and you see how we spend our recruiting dollars and the access these other kids have. I had a friend that went to a PWI. Man, she was in college at the same time I was. They had this whole like app that recruiters directly, even remote jobs, all that they directly communicated with them. They had like this in the app. You uploaded your resume, it like fixed your resume for you. It gave you resume tips. You could apply for jobs. Like, this is why we were in school. So I'm like, and she was at Georgia Southern. And I was just like, I didn't even know something like this existed. We needed that. I was like, y'all are saying we're gonna hire HBCUs. Here is an app that's accessible. And had we just really implemented it at school, maybe done a contract for maybe a few $1,000s, these companies are trying to recruit people. So it's not like it was gonna cost us a lot, but just like I didn't even know it existed. And for them to have such a leisure to like find these jobs, I was just like, man, we had to go through so much. Like, you had to get dressed up, go to this career fair. And then people like Taurus, they always complain because like the career fair was only geared toward engineering students and business students. And that's everybody's biggest complaints. Anybody in the arts felt like they didn't really have those career opportunities. So when you hear about things like PWIs having access, like people from art institutions and stuff, like trying to recruit them just from something simple like an app, we all could have access to. That part frustrates me because I feel like we're so behind the curve on technology and resources, just stuff like that. And I think that's one thing that just really, I just go like, who's looking for this stuff? Like, what people do we have in position that's saying this is something we need for the betterment of the student life? So, I mean, we could go housing, we could go anywhere, but I think those are some just really big opportunities for HBCUs and something that can steer people away from wanting to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So Frankie, I would definitely
say
all in the country,
work could be better amongst HBCUs, because a lot of HBCUs career fairs are even worse than ours, honestly. Like, so that could definitely be something that HBCUs can improve from, like the pipeline from graduation to, because I mean, at that point we have like the confidence, right? Like, once you graduate at HBCU, once you get in front of somebody, you can secure a job.
We just need the opportunity.
Right. You just need that opportunity, and a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, and I
will say this though. I will say this, like to Frankie's point, like some of the stuff that are cons at HBCU do help you out in the long run, because we do have to struggle to get these things done. But when we get into the real world, the stuff that happens at our job doesn't phase us. It's like, okay, well, I went to college. Whereas the people that went to a PWI, is like, well, this is so frustrating. It's like, oh, well, I went through this in college, so it's kind of like a breeze. And even
you used to it at that point.
And even with that, like it shows us how to network and how to communicate with alumni. Because I got my first job from an alumni. An alumni of Tuskegee hit me up on LinkedIn and was like, hey, and started talking to me. Come to find out, he was an animal science major. He works at Purdue, and that's how I got my first job. Like networking with a alumni. Like, the things that hurt the school help the students.
Help us as well.
I mean, it kind of sucks. But it's just kind of like built. It's like your first week at Tuskegee, you done already grew up. Like you done learned how to navigate adult life.
You've built a lot of character during that. So I think that's just one thing. And I think along with Alexis said, if they get more transparent with the funds, I think more people will be willing to give. But it's like we're getting like these checks every year, like Jeff Bezos. That was Jeff Bezos' wife, was it? Mackenzie Bezos. She gave that millions of dollars, and we're like, where is it going? Like we don't know. That part is important too.
That was like it paid off a lot of debt from the letter that the president sent. I think they're now debt free. So like apparently they had like so much debt, and all these donations been getting like since I guess HBCU culture has blown up in society nowadays, and everybody wants to donate to us. So since we've been getting those checks, it's like we haven't really been able to put anything like forward.
Or new because we're paying off
because of the stuff that are paying off. Kind of like what you were saying earlier about like what like in financial aid and the things that we go through is like passed off as like that's just a culture. It's kind of like, you know how people say we need to stop highlighting struggle love. Like, why do we have to struggle to, you know, I feel that way sometimes about HBCUs. Like, why do I have to struggle to enjoy my experience? Like, why do I have to, and I understand we do learn a lot of lessons in I guess every situation that we have gone through, we've learned from it and we've grown stronger from those situations. So I do agree that we need to work harder to put things in place to make it
Yeah.
But nowadays, like that's not gonna pass, and nobody's gonna care about that now.
Right.
Especially with new age TikTok children that you know keep everything at the palm of their hands. Like they're not gonna be like, oh, you know, the culture of HBCUs and you know this and that. Like we're gonna have to start doing things that retain.
That's true.
Just you know, going off of what we've been through, and that's just a Tuskegee tradition and way. Like
no, that's facts. That's facts, though.
Because let me tell you, Generation Z does not care about tradition at all.
No, they don't. They don't.
They say new ways.
Is the name of the game these days. Convenience is the name of the game. Like no one wants to be inconvenienced. Ain't nobody trying to be sitting. Ain't nobody especially trying to be sitting around trying to find a way to pay you. You know what I'm saying? Like
you like make it should be
we gotta do better. And the thing is, better systems have to be implemented for it to get better, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be more students than it is workers. So, you know, if it's only 2 people or 3 people working in the bursar's office and it's 1,500 students showing up trying to get registered, I mean, that's always going to be an issue unless they find a way to make the system better.
Yeah.
Because you can't hire 1,500 people to handle each student and get them in and out like that. So it has to be better. Like it has to be better system. But also, students got to do better too, because how many students show up and they still applying for FAFSA when they get to school?
When you get to
how many
school,
students
and you
showing
holding
up
up
and
the
don't got
line.
their stuff in order when they get there, because that's what they're used to. They know that Tuskegee gonna find a way to get it done. So it's like a two-way street too.
Yeah.
Like we gotta I mean, it's been times where we do our part and they haven't done theirs.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, it's
There's
also
a lot of
students who show up.
irresponsible children too. Yeah.
Just like, hey, I was here last semester. Y'all niggas remember me. You feel me? Like, y'all don't remember me. I was here last semester. They're like, yeah, but have you done your stuff? Have you done this? Hey, oh, no, I ain't done this. Have you signed your promissory note? Have you filed for this? Have your mama filed this? So now you're doing a runaround because you came unprepared.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Full sculpting and eat lettuce.
Okay, y'all, back like we never left. I'm not paying. Okay, so
do that all the time going down. I was like, she's finna say
I'm not paying for it. Okay, so this is, of course, this is our last session, but it's like 2 more things I want to get into. So I want to talk about the age-old debate, and I want to read some tweets.
Lord.
The what debate?
Please don't get me started.
Okay. Let me get my handy. I'm not gonna read the names. So some of this stuff is old anyways, but this was one of the HBCU versus PWI tweets. Sorry to all you HBCU goers / grads, but just be realistic. What white employer will pick an HBCU grad over a PWI grad? Very few.
Atlanta Braves.
Period, Lord. Okay. Next tweet. I can't wait for HBCU students to graduate and realize that white people still exist in America outside of college.
They exist at HBCUs too.
Who said that?
Last one that I want to throw out there before we discuss. I don't like
Hold on, y'all. Oh, y'all can keep going. Y'all can keep going. I got to step out real quick. Hold on.
Okay. I don't like how these HBCU students be trying to act like they work harder That 3.8 will be a 2.8 at my school. If anything, at PWIs, Black students' experiences are harder since on top of our academics, we have to deal with racism. Stay at your underfunded HBCUs. Sneak dissers.
Look, please don't give me. So I'm gonna say this because I went to a HBCU and then I went to a PWI for grad school. And even my sister went to a HBCU. She had to go to a PWI during Katrina because she went to Xavier when Katrina happened. So I'm gonna be completely honest. My classes at Tuskegee were harder than they were at LSU in the grad program. Like, and I want to say, like, when a Black person goes to a PWI, you getting a degree is always beautiful. A Black person getting a degree, no matter what school it comes from, is something beautiful and something that should be celebrated. My issue is when people say, oh, well, PWI is better than the HBCU because of, and they always use the term because of white people. I mean,
Why are we trying?
Why are white people
Why
Why is the standard?
Right. Why is that the standard?
Let me tell you this. The last one pissed me off
Cash
the
money
most.
on the camera. Put cash money on the camera. He got something.
Cash! Future to Hi, Cash.
Hey.
It's Mama.
That's not your mama. Cash, we talking about HBCU. We talking about Tuskegee.
The Tuskegee.
Cash say TU.
See
You
You
know.
know? He's so cute, 40.
Hey, who's this?
That's not Reed. All right, we gotta go because our time winding down. So go back in your room.
40. Our time. Bye, Cash.
Playing cash.
So let me tell you why that last one bothers me so much. It's the 3.8 would be a 2.8 at a PWI. I don't know. I just don't understand how some, because people truly believe that. And my thing is, well, if that were the case, then why don't all HBCU students graduate magna and summa cum laude or higher? If the 3.8 at your school is a 2.8, then that means the Black people took the easy route. Wouldn't all graduates graduate top if it was just so easy?
Right.
So it's like, I can't get over how you can really stunt on somebody else's work ethic, because it's as a person who worked to graduate magna cum laude, I worked my butt off in school. Like, yeah, I went out and it's like, but I got up for my classes, 8 o'clock or not. I studied hard. I did a lot. And for you to go, if you were at my school, you wouldn't, I'm the same. It don't have nothing to do with how easy the class. I'm not sitting here taking PE all 4 years of school. That would be different. But to equate your curriculum being higher just simply because you went to a PWI, that part, it infuriates me. It infuriates me because I know a lot of smart people that work hard and do well for themselves. And it's like, so for you to say their 4.0 is nothing because they went to an HBCU, that part.
It's just ignorant, honestly.
It really is
It's ignorance.
You have to just laugh at it because it's just like, no.
It's just the fact that we all got jobs after college. So it's like, okay, it debunks what they're saying because it's kind of like, okay, well, say that to the white guy that I beat out.
That hired me.
Like, and I applied for Purdue and got into an operations management training program. Mm-hmm. And like, I had a talk with the lady who ran the program. And when I told her I went to Tuskegee, she just was in like such awe, like, you know, we love Tuskegee, you know, the program, the animal science program there, this, and that. So it's just like, I think they had something to do with self-hate. I hate to say it because it's usually Black people who have these notions about HBCUs versus PWIs. It has something to do with self-hate. And it's just something that's just taught along the lines. But I never try to down anybody who goes to a PWI for them going, not choosing the HBCU, because you are working for something that we are all working for, you know, your place in this world. And that shouldn't be diminished because of the type of school you go to. But I'm always choose HBCU over anything because I feel like a Black experience is better than anything in my opinion.
Oh, white people exist outside of. We know. We've experienced it our whole life. So we're not not ignorant to the fact, but for these 4 years, I just want to experience my people in all its glory, because it's never a time in your life. And I think that's why I'm such a big advocate for it. Because I tell people, I'm like, when you go into higher education, you're even, because the college experience is not even the same if you're getting a higher degree. Those 4 years in undergrad, especially at HBCU, you're never gonna work in a, well, some people may do, maybe smaller companies, but you're likely not gonna work in an all-Black corporate environment. From the moment you leave the HBCU, you're never gonna be in a space like that again. You're just not no matter what field you go in. And so I just, that part too is like, we know what the real world holds, but let me live in my dream world. Like, let me experience.
And I feel like, I don't know, it's just something about the HBCU, not to get too deep, right? But just think about it, like all our lives we grew up feeling like white people like had some type of superiority. Like we were always fighting for some type of white approval, like even like in our Sunday school books. I mean, you know, not to be deep, but Jesus was white. Like, I mean, you always like white people just always had some type of superiority. But like you on the HBCU campus, your kings and queens are Black. Like we have Black kings and queens. Like, you know, it's like monumental if you go to like high school and you know the Black people win homecoming king or something like that. Like a lot of schools, but like our kings and queens are Black. Our presidents are Black. Our people who are in power are Black. So there's like a lot of people first time seeing themselves in that light. So it makes you feel good about yourself. So you don't leave an HBCU feeling, you know, inferior to white people. I ain't just talking about people who go to PWIs, but when you go to those schools, you still gonna feel some type of inferiority to, I don't know if that's a word, but like you're gonna still feel some type of inferiority to white people because they're gonna dominate that space. Like how they've dominated all the spaces, but we go to HBCU and it's your people dominating the space. Now you go out into the real world and you stand beside a white person.
I can do this too.
What's up? Like you,
I can do this. I've seen people do it that look like me. I can do that too.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like, I really feel like when I left school, not that I feel inferior to white people before, but like when I really left school, like I really like look you dead in your face, like I measure up to you. Like I'm like that. Like I'm like that. Like you feel me? Like you really feel empowered. Just I mean yourself here, because you know there's so much competition around you. So you when you're in the HBCU, so you have to like kind of build yourself up anyway. But like when I be like bro, I'm like that. Like, and I will look at a white person dead in his face and tell him like straight up, like this is what I've done. This is who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. Like you be proud of who you are. I mean, you be proud of who you are, but I'm proud of who I am. Period. Like straight up. I don't feel like
say this though.
For real.
I'm gonna say this though. Most of my friends who did go to PWIs, and this is not a shock because I have a friend in my apartment right now that went to PWI. But most of my friends who went to PWIs, they like, I wish I went to HBCU, or I wish I could have had that experience.
That is so true.
Like, I mean, and it's not even a shot at their school. It's kind of like, I wish I could have had that experience. Like, you know, or even we know the Black Auburn kids would come to Tuskegee to be at the Soul. Like, because they want to, or at our cast party, because they want to experience that.
I think the part that gets me, y'all, I think the part that breaks my heart. Well, y'all from Alexis, what's your hometown? Greenville. So aside from Taurus, the rest of us are from really small towns. And I think like just those tweets that I read, they were all by Black people. When I advocate for HBCUs in my hometown, Jackson, Tennessee, Amory, Mississippi, I am always amazed at, it's not even the kids. The kids don't even know yet. Their parents are like, they don't need to go know Black. They need to go learn about the real world.
Go party school. I
posted something on Facebook about HBCUs, and oh my God, like two of us were arguing in the comments. And I'm not one of those people that argue on social media, but it's this young girl. She went to a private school in our hometown and ended up getting into Spelman, got almost a full ride to Spelman and desired to go. But like her stepdad was just like, no, you need to go to like, it's this PWI in like Memphis or Nashville or something that she ended up going to, because in their mind, they really do believe that PWIs are superior. And that's what frustrates me, because it's like, it's not, the kids grow up believing that because their parents believe that. And in my mind, when you're from a town like ours, I'm like, just encouraging somebody to go to college, period, is good. But if you bring up HBCUs to a lot of Black people in smaller towns, you'd be surprised that they're worse than the white people. It's literally like, no, they don't need to go to the HBCU. Like, it's a party school. It's college. They're all party schools. Like, so let's stop that. But do you feel like y'all experienced that in y'all's hometown?
I'll say no, just because it's actually the first Black HBCU is Taurus College, which is in my hometown. So people are familiar with HBCUs down there from where I'm from. So a lot of people like either go to Alabama A&M, Alabama State, those are big down there. I would say those are probably like the biggest two schools that a lot of people from Alabama, from small Alabama towns go to, like Alabama A&M, Alabama State. So I didn't necessarily experience that in my hometown, but I would agree that it's definitely people like that.
Oh, it's 40. It's to this day. Because I'm gonna go hard every Founders Day, and every now and then I get in the spirit and I get on Facebook, or a lot of young girls in the town that I'll mentor, or they'll reach out to me. My auntie is an assistant principal, so she'll have like girls reach out to me sometimes, and they see me and they know they go like, oh, well, she's doing well, like, so that should be good. But it's like, by the time I get to the parents, it's like, how can you speak so badly on Black people? And that's honestly been my experience. And I was like, you know what? A lot of it is, a lot of people have never been outside of their own town. They're regurgitating information that they've never experienced. I think for me, I was just shocked about that in my adult life, because I thought, well, at least Gen Xers and Boomers, like, they're not too far from segregation. So in my mind, I thought they'd be strong advocates for HBCUs. And so for me, even to this day, like, if I call my mom and tell them, I'm like, such and such called me, she applied to Tuskegee, she got in, she's excited. And then a few months later, they ended up going to another school. I'm like, well, why? Like, what happened? And my mom or my aunt will be like, their parents want to go to HBCU. And it's disheartening. Like, it breaks my heart, because I'm like, y'all missing out on such an experience. You was about to say something, Alexis?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, personally, I don't think that anybody in my town was like, oh no HBCUs. I mean, State was like right up the road, so most people, you knew about it. HBCU, knew about Alabama State, but it was also trying to get people to go to college in general. So they didn't really like hate on, going to an HBCU. It was just, are you going to go to college at all? But, I think that people think that way, or some people's parents think that way, is because for a long time, HBCUs had this stigma of being just party schools. And when you look at PWIs, the only thing that you see like represented of them is academics. That's all you see. Like, it's nothing else but academics and maybe.
And they worse than us.
Okay, but that's on the
highlight. That's true.
If you see anything about Auburn or Alabama or any PWI, it's academics or it's football. If you think about an HBCU, for a long time, it was drumline or stomp the yard, or what we see like in pop culture. And for a while, it wasn't about academics. It wasn't about like all of these accolades that people from HBCUs have had until recent years, where you have like a lot of people advocating for HBCUs and things like that. So I think that's where that came from. Is like a lot of, especially the older generation, people who didn't clearly go to HBCUs or have family members in with HBCUs, they just looked at them as if like, oh, this is just a party school. Like, you're not going to get a quality education there. That's why I feel like my mom's cousin said like, oh, Auburn, your degree is going to be worth more. Exactly. Like,
that means.
Right. And it's like, girl, but I think that's why, because that's all like, that was in pop culture.
Yeah. Representation matters.
And what's funny?
Now we have like Kamala Harris though. And then we've always had Oprah. Deion Sanders doing what he's doing with the football team, like Diddy, Spike Lee, Tom Joyner. So I feel like we had these points of reference, but just not, I don't know that it was enough. So I do think now, because of social media, you have more influence with HBCU culture, like, just HBC, even stuff as small as like having HBCU gear for sale. I think the awareness is becoming more like, we're successful. It was not less a degree than anything. Like, we still can do what we need to do.
I'm gonna say this, on the West Coast, it was completely opposite. So like when I told people I was going to Tuskegee, they were like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! Like that's a great school." Like I said, I didn't know nothing about Tuskegee, so I'm like, okay. But to you guys' point, it's just like getting Black kids in Oakland like Oakland wasn't a great place, but getting you to go to college, just hearing that a Black boy is going to college was just a great thing. But you know, hearing about HBCUs is just so heavy in California. Most Black people in California do go to HBCUs. Like that's why like the third biggest state at Tuskegee is California, because we don't have that. So we want to experience that. We took drumline and we took some PR, like, ooh, I want that experience. Like I want to do that. I want to be able to go there and experience that. Our teachers, I'm not sure what you guys' experience was in school, but most of our teachers, none of them were Greek. None of them went to HBCUs or anything. Like, so seeing that on TV and like that being the influence is just like amazing on that side of the country. And even now seeing like a show like All American Homecoming, like, you know, it's about an HBCU. I love watching that show every week because it's like, it's giving me a little bit of home, and it's being like broadcasted like an HBCU. It's not a bad place to go.
Yeah.
So
I have a question. Now that we're talking about how HBCUs are kind of highlighted a lot more on TV and things like that, how do y'all feel about that? I feel like in recent years, I think since the pandemic, we've seen a lot of like, I guess, news about HBCUs, and we've seen a lot of people even capitalize off HBCUs. And I guess like now it's like, oh, it's like, it's cool.
It's cool.
So I'm like, I was torn between like, you know, is this okay because, you know, more people are becoming aware of our like schools, or is it just like, I don't know, like I feel kind of bad.
Like they're pandering.
Yeah, like I felt like, you know, it's a good thing because now, you know, it's like, it's kind of like, it doesn't matter how, like, you know, as long as, you know, people,
as long as they get there.
Right. But it's like, a part of me is just kind of like, I don't know, but what do y'all think?
I think it's good. I mean, like they say, all publicity is good publicity.
Right, yeah.
One thing they say. I think it's kind of cool to see, because then people are kind of seeing the way, you know, Black people are treated at these PWIs. And you see like these top athletes are starting to go to HBCUs because they're, you know, like I'll be treated better here. And I think it's good that it's going in the direction, because it's giving Black people opportunity to see, like, you know, there is a space for you, because most people grow up in an area where they're the token Black guy or the token Black girl. Because that was my experience. Like, don't judge me. For a hot second in high school and middle school, I thought I was Mexican. I was trying to be Mexican. All my friends was Mexican, so I'm trying to speak Spanish, and, you know, I wanted a Hollister hoodie. You know, everybody at school got a Hollister on, and I'm, you know, like, so going to HBCU, like, it changed my life. Like, I got that Black experience. All of my friends are Black. After graduating college, I can hang out with people that look like me. I don't have to try to fit in and switch up who I am. So even though, like, to your point, Alexis, like some of the stuff that we're seeing, it does feel like they're pandering. Just like I hate seeing a Black Lives Matter in like store. I'd be like, y'all pandering because y'all wouldn't have had that.
I don't care. You don't care.
Yeah, it's like, do you really care about our schools? Like, do you really care about students?
Yeah.
And it's like the focus kind of shift after the George Floyd thing, right? Because then, you know, everybody wants to find a way to contribute and show that they're, you know, an ally. So I feel like some of it is genuine. I feel like some of it is not. But I mean, we got to just get it how we can. That is a great point that you brought up, because like the focus shift. Like everyone wanted to invest in Black culture or Black prosperity in the type of way that was. So as you see now, even like a lot of athletes now are starting to highlight HBCUs. Like Chris Paul, you know, he did the little thing where he was wearing like a different HBCU piece every game or something like that. And you know, but he's an HBCU alum though, if I remember correctly. I think he might have went to Winston-Salem. Am I wrong? Am I right or wrong?
I think he did. If I'm not mistaken, I heard something about that.
I could.
But it sounds familiar.
I could. Let me not misquote because I could be wrong. But like, I mean, even LeBron, a lot of athletes, period, or a lot of people, period, just trying to find ways to highlight Black people, period. So I mean, you know, HBCUs did kind of get caught up in that. It is kind of pandering. I just feel like we gotta take it how we get it. It's gonna bring in more students.
Wake Forest.
It's gonna bring in more students and help enrollment, which essentially helps dollars for these institutions.
Agreed.
And they help because while we talk about funding, not to just go back to that. I worked at an HBCU. My first job when I left Tuskegee was at Taurus College. I worked in the finance department there. HBCUs make the majority of their money from from government funding, so Pell Grants and student loans. That's where the majority of their money come from. So if enrollment is down, they're not making no money because it's not like a cash cow. Like they're not selling something every month where they're making money every month. So most of their money come in at the beginning of the first semester and at the beginning of the second semester. So they have to find a way to make that money stretch throughout the whole year. So, and it costs a lot of money to run a school, like $2 million a month just for the CAF to run. Like it costs a lot of, and that's with Tyler College. Like not to put their finances out there, but like when I was there, it was like a lot of money just to serve food in the CAF, and like that's like a small expense.
In our school, our population is probably double that.
Yeah, because our campus is like so big. So you think that Tuskegee got so much money and so much debt, but you got debt from rebuilding the CAF. So you got all this debt hanging on your head, and then your operating expenses is so high. And then we already know every company's highest expenses, they payroll. So you're trying to clear payroll, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. It's just a lot that I feel like people who don't really totally understand finances don't understand. You think the school get $2 million, like, oh, where it's it? Well, it's probably going on them bills they got. It's probably going to pay for these light bills and clear payroll and everything else they got going on. Because like I said, the money come in at the beginning of the first semester and the beginning of the second semester from those Pell Grants and those loans. And after that,
that's what they use it to the money.
You pretty dry. Like you get a little bit between them, but like that's the majority of your bread.
Yeah. I just hope that it's not a fad, because to some of us, going to HBCU was always cool. So I'm like Taurus, the publicity for me, even if it's fake, the students are getting enrolled, they're going to have a good experience, and the money is coming in. So I don't really care. I just don't want it to be faddish in that you see these people wearing this apparel now, and then 2 years from now, it doesn't, like we don't hear about it anymore.
Exactly.
So this is a real experience. This is real life. So that would be my only critique of it. So my last.
That's a good point, though, Alexis. That's a real good point, because I didn't think about that, but it is. Like...
Me either. I didn't either. Like because it's like sometimes even if you do appreciate it, it's still irritating because it's like it was always cool. It didn't start being cool because Beyonce did it. It didn't start being cool because Chris Paul did it. It's not cool because somebody's putting on a t-shirt. It was always a good thing. It was always a prestigious thing.
But the question goes to, do we want representation or not? Like,
And so that's why I'm like, I would never repeat that publicly. I would never say anything publicly because I appreciate it. I appreciate representation. It's needed.
Like if somebody come up to you and say, I'm gonna give you $1 million and they doing it to be petty, I don't care.
I'll take it.
I didn't want to be like one of those people, when like somebody starts getting on to an artist and somebody's like, I've been on that artist.
I know.
Always like them, like I'm that type of person, but I was kind of had a little side eye.
Yeah, but I think it's good though. Like it's really important. Just seeing, like, first of all, like Beyonce was the first Black woman to be headline Coachella, for HBCUs to be represented on that stage for the world to see, and then then she puts it on Netflix for the world to see, and it's in a positive light. There's nothing negative towards it. It's just something so beautiful. And then right after that, she donates to four students.
She's been donating for that performance.
So it's just like something beautiful to see. Like it's a spotlight on these schools, and then having Tuskegee be one of the schools that was put in that spotlight, I ain't mad at it, So it's just kind of like seeing something that you love so much, because anytime anybody asks me about an HBCU, I'm like all for it. I don't regret the decision that I made to go to Tuskegee. Like, I don't care with all of the bad that I may have experienced. I don't regret my decision at all. It changed my life for the better.
But change it for the world, good and the bad. So speaking of that, it's my last question. If y'all could go back to college, would you do anything differently?
Yes.
What would you do? What would you do?
So random, because I was just having this conversation.
Me too. I've been having it the past year or two.
But if I could do anything different, I would definitely have dated differently.
Me too.
Because now that I am older, I feel like I'm dating how I should have dated.
You should have, yeah.
School, I felt like, I want a boyfriend, like I want a college sweetheart, and I should have dated around. Why am I doing it now 24, 25? I should have been doing, because when I was in school, I was like, really, like, if I like somebody, I like you.
And that's it. Instead of just experiencing people.
Our young ladies, we need to experience.
Yes.
Experience men in a way that's, you're not a hoe, but you can still date around and not try to down to just one person and being sick in your dorm and missing out on all these experiences.
Yes.
Because we sick about a dude. And I say that because I have a friend who was saying, like, I don't want to go back to Tuskegee. I just had such a terrible time here, because she had a terrible experience with a man. And because of that, she was down and out about a man.
Her college experience.
So many things, so many opportunities at school over a man. And I think, I told y'all this is kind of random, but I think I would like that's one thing I would change, is to just I had fun. I had a good time, and I'm glad that wasn't my experience, how hers was. But I definitely wouldn't have been like trying to go to school to find a husband, and I would have had fun and dated around.
I would too.
That's a good answer.
Courtney, what about you? Would you change anything? No, because you had a ball.
Yeah, I'm really I'm like,
you know what? I tell Marlon all the time. I was like, Marlon, it was Skylar and Marlon. A year or two after I graduated college, I told them both, I said, y'all lived a great college experience. And I used to judge them a lot in school. I was like, man, they did too much. They did way too much. But when you look back, I'm like, man, that was the age to do it. Like, that was the age to do all that reckless stuff. Like, and if I go back.
Like, I literally can't think. I mean, of course, we all make decisions. I went to jail 2 times. I wish I would have, I wish I could change that. But other than that, I mean, shoot. I went to jail for stealing one of those campus golf carts. But I honestly went to that back because we had really fun. We had a lot of fun.
I would have done
it. You had a great college experience.
Yeah, like I can't. I don't know.
I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, I don't think I would change a thing, honestly.
What about you, Taurus?
I would say I wouldn't take myself so seriously. Mm-hmm. I was too busy trying to impress. Yeah. You want to run for office, you want to join organizations, you just trying to take yourself seriously. And it's just kind of you're still a kid. Be a kid while you can. Enjoy college, to Alexis' point, date differently. I was trying to live a double life, but that's neither here nor there. It's just I wish I would have just wouldn't have taken myself so seriously. Just enjoyed myself. I mean, I did enjoy myself. I met my best friends in college. I will never forget, I met you in history class and most of my other best friends in that same class. So it's just I wouldn't change a thing about the friends that I made, but I just wouldn't have took myself so seriously. Kind of oh, well, I need to, navigate this way. Just be yourself and do you. Because I was trying to be a role model too. I have younger siblings under me, and looking at this generation coming after me, I could have been wilding out because at this point they ain't following in our footsteps anyway. So I can't even get. We was talking about it the other day, and I can't even get my little brother to take an SAT so he could go to a school, and I'm up here trying to be brother of the year.
Man, I would go back. There's so much I would do differently. I mean, truly. And people lie. A lot of people lie when they say, well, if I could go back, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, when I tell you, I would have so much more fun in college. I was one of those kids. I actually was a good kid, growing up. I'm about to talk a little back in class a little bit, but I didn't drink until I got in college. I was still very skeptical then. I waited to college to have a lot of my experiences, but I wanted to be Miss Tuskegee. I wanted to be Greek. I wanted to make good grades, and I wanted to just be this role model. And I had all these goals. And it was my senior year is the only year I remember, this is when social media was popular in school, but it was still good. I would not let people record me while I was out. Going to a party in college. I would not, don't put me on any social media partying. I would not, even if I did drink, it was very private. I was just who cares? I wanted so badly to be this example for young Black girls. And it's I didn't drink as much as I should have. I didn't date as much as I should have. I wanted to be this person so badly that I feel I missed out on a lot of experiences. And I also feel which hunted me for like my first 2 or 3 years. I feel like I didn't stand up for myself enough in school. Like I feel like I was bullied in college. Like people act like
And I used to stand up for you, Nari. I used to be like,
who
nah.
did,
Yeah.
40?
Yeah, Marie.
40 used to like, I was like, it's unfortunate. I met people like you that just did not play about me because people torture me so much. But I was like the Michelle Obama, I'm gonna go. I didn't let people play with me too much. But I didn't stand up for myself how I wanted to because I was like, I can't publicly let them see me rattled because I'm gonna be Miss Tuskegee and I have to be like this person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really, it's times I should have fought in school.
Yeah.
I should have got down dirty and started fighting some of them girls because of the things they would say and do, but I was just trying to go high. And so I'm like you said, Taurus, if I could go back, I would
Take yourself too seriously.
I would just have a fucking ball. Because the ball was there. The parties were there. The fun was there. I was just trying to be like something else. And so I think that's the only thing. I think sometimes that if I think about it too hard, I'm like, man, I missed the golden opportunity to really just ball out. So that's my advice to people like going into, especially HBCU, like, man, just have fun. You are young, you are a kid, have fun. If you want to drink responsibly, but live your life, like do you.
Yeah, it's like a delicate balance, I would say though. But I think like to y'all defense, I mean, black women, y'all be on like, y'all have to kind of be like that sometimes. Like y'all don't choose to be like that, but it's like y'all don't get a chance to make a lot of mistakes, I feel like, because people will hold it over your head like forever. People will hold your mistakes over your head forever. I feel like dudes get a little bit more grace.
Yeah,
I feel like to make more mistakes.
That's true. That's true.
It look worse on me as a woman than it would for you, and we did the same.
Yeah.
Right. Which,
I will say
we ain't make the rules, but it's just kind of
it's
sad that it's like that, but it's just kind of like that.
I will say, like, I watched you, Nari, your matriculation through Tuskegee, and Alexis, I watched your matriculation through Tuskegee, and I will say y'all handled yourselves very well when people try to come at y'all like
as gracefully
because y'all like But I just think about like in general, like when you think about reputations and trying to portray a certain reputation, when you think about people from college, do you even remember what the hell people really did to have it? Like nobody remembers.
Don't even remember.
It's kind of like.
And if you do, at this point, it don't matter. If you do,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your life or impact your life.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make the mistakes, live your life,
and do it.
Look, do what you want. Like I mean, within reason. Because some stuff can ruin your life, but I mean, college is your chance to make mistakes.
It is. So, okay, we only have 5 minutes left, so I want to wrap this up. So, all interviews wrap up with giving an end tip. So, what is just something for incoming HBCU students or whatever? What is either like a mantra, a quote, or what is like something that you live by? Or just give a piece of advice to those wanting to attend HBCUs. Like, what's your end tip?
Don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
Meet these people, network, because you never know who you will need and who will, help you out in your career in the future.
Okay. Alexis?
I would say be yourself wholeheartedly. If you feel like you are going too far outside of your comfort zone and outside of who you are, then whatever you're trying to do is not for you. And, date, have 5 boyfriends.
Date is a mission. I don't care what people call you. Date. Figure out what you like, who you like. Be honest, walk in your truth. I agree with that. If I could, probably could be married by now.
Yes.
40, what's your end tip?
Mine is like low-key the opposite of Alexis. I was gonna say like don't be scared to like step out of your comfort zone. Like, I mean, right, we still read like be yourself, but don't be scared to like step out of your comfort zone. Like, don't let things that you are not used to frighten you. Like, don't feel like anything is too big for you. Don't feel like you don't belong in any type of space. Like, if you want to be SGA president, you can do that.
You can be SGA president.
You can do that. And even if you run and don't win or do anything and don't get the results you want, you're going to learn something about yourself that you'll be able to take on that'll help build you to a better person.
I agree.
When I was saying that, I was going back to like how Nari was saying like, oh, I didn't do this, or I was scared to do this.
Nah, facts. I feel what you were saying.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah. Just like if something feels too outside of who you are, then that's different.
Nah,
Don't be scared to push yourself. Like you're gonna be uncomfortable a lot of times. You just
right. Because somebody tried to convert me to a Muslim one time, and I was like, "Hey, cuz, y'all cool with it? Ain't me. You feel me?
Look,
That's why I'm always amazed that people go, "Oh, I need diversity. That's why I'm going to PWI." And I'm like, "Have you been around this many black folks? This is diverse as shit."
if you want to throw a kickback in bioethics, throw a kickback in bioethics.
Do you have fun, man? Well, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. We got part 2. We got to do a part 2 in the future.
Yeah, this was cool,
Yeah.
I didn't get the Tuskegee memo. Y'all didn't tell me to wear no Tuskegee pair, but it's cool though.
I know.
It got to be in and not on you for real. So you see me on Tuskegee anyway. You feel?
Man, Taurus Alexis just texted me and was like, "So are you dressed up?" I was like, "I just left the gym. I don't sweat to the Tuskegee shirt."
In print collection, type of thing. Are we wearing your out like in print?
what are we wearing? Okay, hold on. Let me get us a boomerang and then we out this thing.
Yeah, well, this was cool, Nari, for sure.
I'm so excited. So all of our
She ain't say 1, 2, 3 or nothing.
got y'all, baby. So all of the sessions are like all the interviews I've been doing are just anybody in their fields. Like Mikhail, since he's making like over like 20K investing, we did a session on investing, like a look and learn. Marlon, I interviewed him on just how to get involved in the entertainment industry and give tips. Taylor, we did a mental health session. My esthetician, we did a skin session. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be good. All the content will start dropping in probably late May, and they'll be bi-weekly. So yeah.
All right, baby influencer, I see you.
It's dope, Nari.
Thank y'all so much. I love y'all.
All right, man. Y'all have a great night.
All right,
Deuces.